Truth matters. And that's why, my friends, I must come out and defend Joe Biden. Man, this story's flying up everywhere. And we talked a bit about it last night on Timcast IRL, but it deserves a standalone segment that all of you should share with your Democrat friends, and all of your Democrat friends should share with your other Democrat friends. Parkinson's specialist met with Biden's physician at the White House earlier this year, records show. I am going to defend Joe Biden in this segment, and it's important because I do not believe Joe Biden is suffering from Parkinson's disease. I believe that Joe Biden is suffering age-related mental decline and physical decline. I believe there's reason to suspect Parkinson's is possible, but the way the media is framing this is suspect. When Jon Stewart, in a previous segment, I talked about how Jon Stewart says we should just have an open primary contest and whoever we pick can then go up against Biden and we'll stress test this. That would mean negating the votes of Democratic voters who voted in their primaries for Joe Biden. It's anti-democratic. Now, of course, I don't know who they would swap out Joe Biden with. We constantly make the joke, oh no, we love Joe Biden. Don't remove him. But the reality is, if Joe Biden's removed, Kamala Harris is next in line. And Trump does way better against Kamala Harris. So in reality, there is an interest Republicans would have in seeing Joe Biden ousted under the 25th Amendment or otherwise. But I find the whole thing strange. The story is actually simple. I'll give you the quick gist before I read into all this. A neurologist has met at the White House for like 15 years with various presidents. One of his areas of research is Parkinson's. Why is the media framing this as though Joe Biden himself is undergoing some kind of treatment for Parkinson's? At the same time, Jon Stewart, Colbert, Seth Meyers, all of these people are coming out saying Biden's got to go. He's too old. The New York Times runs this story. I'm sorry. I think Joe Biden is an old man. I believe there is a possibility he pooped his pants. Whoopi Goldberg said so. What if he did? She has poopy days, too. I think these are fair and reasonable assessments. An 81-year-old man likely to fecal incontinence. I'm sorry if that's crude and you don't want to hear it. You don't want to believe it. But it's reasonable to say it's a possibility. Now, age-related physical and mental decline are one thing. Biden being confused is one thing. But suffering from Parkinson's, that's disqualifying. Now, don't get me wrong. I think his age is disqualifying to a certain degree. It's, well, not so much his age. I think that's fair to say. Age is, it's not so much a disqualifier. It's decline in capability. If Joe Biden is too old for the job, he's too old for the job. I think he is. I think Trump's pushing it. Trump is fairly spry, though, and I'll give him that. Trump could probably handle one more term, and he's a few years younger than Joe Biden. But I don't think Joe Biden can handle it, and I'd prefer if it was neither of them, to be completely honest. I like Donald Trump, but younger guy would be better, or lady. Just really depends. But I'll say this. Many have made the argument that Biden's not too old. He may be tired. Age shouldn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But if someone's got Parkinson's disease, they are not going to win an election. The media bringing this up, I think, is a play to force Biden out because he won't step down. The Democratic Party split. Many, like I mentioned, Jon Stewart are saying we need somebody else. But then you're getting other Democrat Party loyalists who are saying, no, Joe Biden is fine. So I can't tell you what they want. What I can tell you is I think this is a lie. I think they are lying. It's very strange to me because I can come out and I can say Joe Biden's not all with it. I can say he's too old. He's tired. He should be retiring. But it's a big leap to come out and say he's suffering from Parkinson's disease. Let me read the story from you, story for you from CNN, and we'll talk about it. CNN reports a top Parkinson's disease specialist held a meeting with President Joe Biden's physician at the White House earlier this year, according to records, though the circumstances of the meeting are unclear. Dr. Kevin Kennard, a neurologist at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, met with White House physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor at the White House in mid-January, according to White House visitor logs. They say Kennard has visited the White House 3 times this year, according to visitor logs. A January 17th meeting with O'Connor and another with a staffer on January 26th and March 28th. Kennard has visited the White House at least 8 times over the past year, according to logs, beginning last August and ending with the March 28th meeting. On January 17th, meeting lists O'Connor as the person who was visited. O'Connor took the unusual step Monday night of releasing a letter offering some details about Kennard's visit to the White House, following days of speculation about the president's health, writing that President Biden has not seen a neurologist outside of his annual physical. Okay, here's I'm just going to throw this out there. I just Googled this real quick just because. Kennard. Definition: a deliberately misleading fabrication, a fable, a fabrication, a fiction, deliberately false or improbable account. So when I'm reading this story and they're like, Dr. Kennard is a Parkinson's expert, I'm like, that's a heck of a name, considering the circumstances, because Kennard means falsehood. It means a misdirection, misleading. And then I see this story and I'm like, okay, all right. So I want to point this out, right? They mention how we met at the White House this time, 3 times, blah, blah, blah. Who's he meeting? The doctor. O'Connor took the unusual step Monday night of releasing a letter offering some details about Kennard's visit to the White House. President Biden has not seen a neurologist outside of his annual physical. He wrote of Kennard. Prior to the pandemic and following its end, he has held regular neurology clinics at the White House Medical Clinic in support of thousands of active duty members assigned in support of White House operations. Many military personnel experience neurological issue related to their service. And Dr. Kennard regularly visits the WHMU as part of this general neurology practice. Okay. O'Connor described Kennard as the neurologist specialist that examined President Biden for each of his annual physicals, and noted the specialist's findings were included each time he publicly released the results of the president's physical. Asked earlier Monday about the visit between Kennard and O'Connor, White House spokesperson Andrew Bates said, a wide variety of specialists from the Walter Reed system visit the White House complex to treat the thousands of military personnel who work on the grounds. Those visits include one from a neurologist each year for Biden's physical, Bates said. Biden is not seen by a neurologist during this time as president outside this context of his annual physical, he added. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre later repeated Biden had been seen by a neurologist 3 times during his presidency, once during each of his physicals, but declined to name them or why. Explain why Kennard had visited the White House 8 times over the past year. She said she wouldn't name the specialist due to security reasons. Publicly available profiles named Kennard as a neurology specialist supporting the White House medical unit. I am not confirming names from here, she said during the news briefing, which quickly became contentious as Jean-Pierre deflected questions about the president's health. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here. Jean-Pierre added Biden has never been treated for or taken any medicine to treat Parkinson's. No, I got to hold on here. What is this story? Honest question. What is this story? I'm going to ask again, and I mean this in all seriousness. There are concerns about Biden's health, but Parkinson's is out of the blue for CNN, the New York Times, and other outlets to plaster in a headline. Honest question. There's a lot of things we can talk about with Joe Biden. Fine. He does have rigidity. With the way his hands are curled, there's a possibility he is suffering symptoms of Parkinson's, and so they brought in a guy maybe to check on him and see if that's the case. Maybe. I find it very odd that the corporate press immediately runs this narrative despite knowing this guy has been meeting at the White House 8 times in 8 months and had met at the White House several times in the past 10 years. So this is not secret information. This is not new information. All of a sudden, the media has taken this interest in reporting a Parkinson's expert. Now, hold on. He sort of is, but he's just a neurologist. This, to me, reeks of framing. This is what the media does when they take a story and they align it so that you view it through a certain lens. Example, when they said Donald Trump was trying to dig up dirt on his political opponent, that's called framing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Believe whatever you want to believe, Democrats. What I'm saying is it's framing. The facts are Donald Trump called the president of Ukraine. Donald Trump asked about the circumstances related to Joe Biden, stating he would not give a loan guarantee unless a prosecutor was fired. Donald Trump says he wanted this investigated and threatened to withhold aid unless it did. That's the reporting. The framing from Democrats is this was Trump digging up dirt on a political opponent. You can believe that's the case if you want, but that is framing. Just like this story. When they say Biden meets with Parkinson's expert, you could say he met with a doctor. You could say long-standing White House doctor has meeting with president. Uneventful. But that's not what they're doing. They're making sure Parkinson's is in the headline. They're making sure that this serious disease is the headline, is the story. Okay. I don't know why or for what for, but they don't need to frame it that way. They really don't. And that's what gives me pause. I'm always trying to understand the framing. When the Covington Catholic kids, the Lincoln Memorial, when that video came out, I see a video of a kid and a guy banging a drum in his face, and people are like, Tim, did you see what this kid did? Seriously. And I was like, what's he doing? And they're like, well, look what he's doing. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing. I see two people standing in front of each other. For some reason, the narrative had to be that this kid walked up to the Native American guy, got in his face, and smirked at him. I don't see any. I just see two people standing in front of each other. Then the real video came out. The Native American guy walked up to the kid, got in his face, banging the drum. The kid was the victim. Remarkable. Framing is everything. And people just wanted to jump on the bandwagon and just believe it. Prominent personalities rushing to issue a statement condemning these kids. Framing is everything. So what is this story? The 6-page letter from O'Connor released that the president underwent his last physical in February had said several specialists consulted on the physical, including a neurological specialist. Here's what I think. I'll tell you what I think of Joe Biden. I think he's suffering from early onset dementia. I believe he's got general age-related decline, which includes frailty, muscle soreness, difficulty walking. And I say early onset dementia because we have seen numerous instances where he's turned the wrong way on stage. In one instance, walking backwards towards the screen and talking in the wrong direction. Now, we've seen before the debate, people were saying, this is not dementia, this is age-related decline, and it's fine. Dementia would be confusion and not understanding what's going on or mixing up names. And I'm like, he does all of those things. I believe that's disqualifying. Personally, I really do. It is strange to me, however, that Parkinson's has become the narrative in the corporate press at the same time, all this is happening. Ask yourself why. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Joe Biden should be the nominee. We'll lay it straight. Joe Biden should not be the nominee. His age-related decline is much too intense. He wasn't capable in 2020. They should have someone else. However, they held a primary, and this is what the people have chosen. And I believe it would be wrong at this point to remove him. If he steps down, fine. I still think it's kind of dirty. But Kamala Harris would be next in line, unless she decides to step down knowing she can't beat Donald Trump. I don't like how old Donald Trump is, to be completely honest. I believe he's too old. But I like this foreign policy. I'm not a big fan of his attitude. He's a funny guy. He spent a bit too much. The drone strikes were bad. The commando raids were bad. I get all of that. But setting a timeline for withdrawing our troops, crossing the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security detail in a sign of peace is one of the most significant historical moves a president in my lifetime has made. And Trump deserves credit for that. Trump is bad for a lot of reasons, and I welcome your criticism of him, and it should be. He should be criticized. But he's certainly better than Joe Biden. Now, you present to me someone who does a better job than Trump, I'd be willing to accept it, but I don't see it. I like Vivek Ramaswamy. Don't know that he'd do a better job than Trump. I think Vivek actually would do a tremendous job. I do. But maybe the next term or next 4 or 8 years, the Democrats don't seem to offer up anybody. Tulsi Gabbard, the moderates that they had, they've left. Andrew Yang seemed pretty good, but they're all basically abandoning the Democratic Party. You tell me what our options are. I think Donald Trump is the first time in my lifetime that I've seen a slight net positive. So I'll take it. Now, does Joe Biden have Parkinson's? This seems like a dirty play to force him out of the race. We'll see. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.